Morning! This is Woolsey Spring. Over there is an old stone cistern that used to collect the water from the spring. Seems to be dry now. This is about as close to water as I'm going to get today. Let's talk some anime.
Mermaid Forest.
Poor Yuta. He's young, healthy, handsome, and immortal. And he's determined to rid himself of this curse of eternal youth. Huh? Mermaid Forest is an animated horror series being released in the US by Pioneer Genion. Legend says eating the flesh of a mermaid grants immortality. What the legend doesn't say is that mermaid meat is poison, and most people will eat it, transmogrify into hideously deformed, soulless monsters. But it is true that there are a few lucky individuals who don't become deformed ones. For them, the legend is true. They gain an ageless, eternal life. 500 years ago, Yuta and others in his fishing village ate a mermaid. Only Yuta survived. Now he wanders around Japan, moping and feeling sorry for himself, looking for a live mermaid who can tell him how to rid himself of this curse of immortality. It seems Yuta wants to die. Well, he doesn't want to die right away. You can kill one of these mermaid spawn by lopping off their heads, among other things. But that's not what Yuta wants. For some reason, he wants to grow old and die the old-fashioned way. I think he's been misinformed about the joys of old age. The Mermaid Forest series is episodic, an anthology of short stories, many of which are told over 2 episodes rather than just one. In the first episode, Yuta meets Mana, a pretty young woman, and they'll become traveling companions, wandering across contemporary Japan for the rest of the series. They seem to stick to the rural coastal areas, avoiding the big modern cities, probably because it's so hard to find a really creepy cult in downtown Tokyo. Along the way, they're going to meet a lot of strange people on this journey. Not surprisingly, most of these short stories deal with a quest for immortality and what people will do to obtain it.
村か。
何しに来た。
別に怪しいもんじゃねえよ。
迷い人か。仲間はおるか。主がいなくて探すやつ。
Just as a matter of policy, I think you should answer that question, yes. Since he's been around for 500 years, Yuta also has a lot of memories of the past, places he's been and people he knew. As with other series about immortals, there will be several short stories linked to Yuta's past experiences, or which even take place entirely within his past as a big flashback. That's a technique we've seen before in stories about really old characters, from the novels of Anne Rice to the Highlander movie and series. By the way, mermaids aren't exactly thrilled with this whole legend thing. They have their own legend about how to gain immortality. While the individual short stories have endings, the overall mermaid saga doesn't. Mermaid Forest is an anime fantasy based on a manga series by prolific manga artist Rumiko Takahashi. She's better known for many of her lengthy anime comedy series such as Mazen Koku, Urusei Yatsura, Ranma Nisei, and lately Inuyasha. Unlike those comedies, her Mermaid Saga is a horror anime. Takahashi's Mermaid Saga was made into a pair of OVAs in 1991 and 1993, telling 2 of her stories, Mermaid Forest and Mermaid Scar. I think that was part of the Rumik World series of short Takahashi-based OVAs, along with Fire Tripper, The Samurai, and The Super Gal. That latter is now called Morris the Chojo in the US, by the way, due to some trademark problems with the comic book folks. A couple of those OVAs were released in North America by USMC on VHS. I should drop a couple of those into the to-do list for later discussion. The more recent 2003 Mermaid Forest TV series gave the Mermaid Saga more space, and the story makes good use of it. In part, it retells the story of each of the earlier OVAs in a 2-part story appropriately titled Mermaid Forest and Mermaid Scar, though it has a slightly different approach to each of those. Plus, the series has a handful of other stories from the original manga series. I actually recommend the newer TV series over the older OVAs, just because it can do so much more with the character development in the longer time frame. The series has 2 problems. First, for a horror story, it isn't very horrifying, at least not very often. Yeah, there are deformed ones popping up with big bulging eyes and nasty-looking claws, but these are pretty mild by modern anime beastie standards. It isn't until we get to the last two-parter, the retelling of Mermaid Scar, that it gets really creepy, and it isn't the monsters that make that creepy. By the way, I'm told those last two episodes weren't shown on TV during the show's original run, but were released direct-to-video. The second problem with the series is it's really hard to sympathize with the plight of Yuta, who's complaining about being immortal. He's young and energetic, and he should quit whining and get on with his immortal life.
Are you traveling somewhere?
Yeah. I can't stay for too long in any one place. I can't live. I only survive.
You have a wife? Family?
No. There's no one. I'm all alone.
So, in most of the stories, the supporting characters end up being more interesting than the lead. Not necessarily more likable, but more interesting. On the other hand, the much younger Mana character gets to mature significantly over the course of the series. She starts off as a rather sheltered, selfish, and unlikable character, but she gradually evolves into a likable supporting cast member. And on a trivial note, I like the fact that these characters actually manage to change their clothes and even hairstyle during the series. So many series seem to be afraid that we'll forget who a character is if they change the character's color scheme in the slightest or modify their hair. The character designs manage to keep some of the distinctive Rumiko Takahashi manga style, especially the high cheekbones. The animation, whether from Studio Pierrot and Madhouse for the two older OVAs, or TMS's work on the new TV series, isn't going to win any awards for imagination or fluidity. This is a story-driven anime, and the artwork just tells the story in a straightforward and economical style. So, I give The Mermaid Forest 3.5 stars. Some of the stories are better than others, and the final Mermaid Scar tale is the best of the lot. But few of them deliver any really creepy moments or break any new ground in stories about immortals. Genian's released all 13 episodes on 4 DVDs in the US. At least they grouped them so that no two-part story gets split over multiple DVDs. I found the English dub satisfactory, and there aren't any notable extras to speak of. Thanks for listening.